Welcome back to On the Mic with Shaz and our special series, Women in Tech Leadership, The Upsides. I'm your host, Shaz, and today I'm joined by a true technology leader who has seen it all, let me tell you, from smart meters and banking platforms to betting, risk, and large-scale engineering enablement. With over 25 years in tech, a passion for people, and a serious commitment to women in tech, please welcome Emma.
Hello, Shaz. Pleasure being here.
It's good to have you here. We made a few attempts at this, listeners. We made a few attempts, and tech decided to, throw us a few curveballs, but we're here. We did it.
Absolutely. Tech decided to tech.
Tech be teching.
Yes.
Well, listen, Em, for our listeners to kind of get to know you a little bit before we dive right into your leadership journey, what's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
I have been married for quite a long time. I have two adult daughters who, whilst I do a lot of work with my women in tech and STEM and mentoring, have not even stepped inside a STEM-related industry and have decided to go into real estate instead.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, I was really hoping that I would get one of them to sort of follow in my footsteps, but no. They have stayed well away from it, and rightly so. They can forge their own path.
Yeah, I love that. And real estate's great. Yeah, so good on them.
Yeah. No, they're living life. They're both in their 20s and just living it up as 20-year-olds would.
Love that. And you've clearly shaped them to be able to back themselves, which is kudos to you and to you guys as parents.
One of the things my husband and I have been really strong about is we've been guiding but not helicopter. We got married young, we had kids young, and we were always like, well, let's do this on our own accord. We'll get through it. There's no parenting manual or whatnot. And they are. I mean, the two girls are a delight. As siblings do, sometimes they fight, but more often they're best friends. And they have been able to fully forge their own path, in a really supportive network. I mean, mum is always right, apparently, but they will never admit it, right?
No, that's good that they've carved their own little path and they're independent enough to back their decision and say, this is our direction.
Yeah. And it's something that it resonates really strongly with me, both obviously personally and professionally. I think as I've grown kids into adults now, and I also look at my teams and whatnot, I want to fully endorse and enforce that they can take their path.
Good on you, Em. Good on you.
Thank you.
So tell me then, what version of you rocked up to work today? And which one did you decide to leave at the door?
Yeah, so I always come with a positive mindset. I think, every day is a blessing. Every day is another new challenge. I always try and come with the best light, especially to the workplace. I think that your mood then uplifts everyone else around you. And so if you come in or tight or a little bit upset, I think that then starts resonating through other people. And it's sort of like they absorb. And so I think, especially as a leader, I want to come in and show an uplifting beat. I want to show a bit of positiveness. And I also want to say that it's okay if we stuff up today. It's okay. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Look, we throw around positive mindset a lot, right? So how do you navigate that then? Say in the morning that there's a delay or there's traffic or there's something like that. Life be lifing and it tries to test us and challenge us. What do you say to yourself to combat that negativity that might try and creep in and shift your mood?
I mean, I think we've all been there. And through my earlier days, and especially in my career where I was very focused on work, and trying to build a bit of a persona or a brand about myself, that I'm always a can-do person, I was really taken aback a lot of the time if I was running late. And at the end of the day, I started sort of thinking, it's okay, it's only 5 minutes, or it's only 10 minutes, or if it's only half an hour. It's not going to change the world. And I started getting more and more comfortable with that mindset that if I'm half an hour late or I'm running, behind on something, it's okay. There's a justification for it and life keeps going on. I think when you start seeing things in a bigger picture, your mindset naturally changes as well. And you'll find that people don't question it. People you're not going to run late and they're going to go, oh my gosh, you're 7.5 minutes late. or whatnot, they haven't even noticed. It's something that your inner demons are fighting with yourself, and you've got to overpower that voice.
Yes, yes. It's that peace in the uncertainty and the chaos that is the gift. Yeah.
And I think we overthink things in our own minds and brains, and we think that everyone else can notice it, and they don't. And if they are, they're amazing mind readers. But generally speaking, people are just really pleased if people show up. And they get stuff done, and I think that's really, really important that we endorse a very happy, healthy culture, both personally and professionally. That just come, volume and numbers is really good. People get things done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I use this analogy sometimes about, I call it your teams being green. When the green is on and you're sitting at your desk, it means you're at your desk. Your colleagues and your peers can see that your thing is green. So you're eating your lunch at your desk just to be green. When meanwhile, the people you're trying to be green for are off on a walk by a beach and taking care of themselves and not sitting by their phones waiting for that phone call. And they're still delivering their work.
Absolutely.
But actually, I'm not more peaceful mind than you.
Yeah, I'm actually having very similar conversations with a colleague over the last couple of weeks, and she has been encouraging me to leave my desk at lunchtime and go for a walk, and then recharge, and then when I get in to work very early. I usually start by 7:30. That it's okay because no one else is around at 7:30. Go for a morning walk and breathe some fresh air. And the last couple of weeks, I've actually re-shifted into that mindset. And I am so much more happier and productive. Even that half an hour where I sort of step outside the office at lunchtime and it's a buzz of activity in the Melbourne CBD, it really re-energizes you. I come back and I just feel much fresher. I mean, I am still guilty. I will still eat at my desk, but it is my downtime. I read either a local paper, or I'll do a bit of online shopping or whatnot.
Yeah. And you can tell by your energy, by the way. Definitely. Yeah. You can tell. Yeah, you're buzzing. And I could feel it bouncing off you.
I actually did just go for a quick walk before I started this.
Yeah, I can feel it. But you're counterproductive if you don't take breaks. And look, this is ongoing for me too. Like, I forget and I get into that. I gotta go up. I've so much to do, and I'll forget this if I don't go and think about it now, and da 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 da. And what really happens is I'm counterproductive because then I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, and I can't catch my breath. But when I go away and have a walk, I actually realize I'm not as busy as I think I am.
Yeah.
And I can actually go back, smash out these two things, focus on them because they're actually most important, and I'll feel great when they're done. But when I'm sitting at my desk trying to be busy, often I can't filter through that of what's important. It's when you move away and go for a walk or do something different. Sometimes I just walk away and do 10 minutes of squats and weights, and that brings back this clarity of I can just do these two things. That's most important, and I'll feel great when that's done. And then instantly my body relaxes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've also found that just having that, either that early morning walk or even my lunchtime walk, is that things that I know were starting to get a little bit heavy on my to-do list, I've actually naturally almost pre-prioritized them. So when I go back, I'm like, okay, here we're going. We're going to go ABC, and we're going to smash this out this afternoon, and it's working. So another thing that I'm really sort of strong about is that I bookmark my week. Every Monday morning I have a block in my calendar where I set up my week. I do my to-do list. I'm working out where I'm sort of functioning, where I needed to be a bit more heavier in the space. And at the tail end of a Friday, I've also blocked that out of my calendar where I then go and revisit back that list and make sure I have cleared off things. I'm setting myself up for the next week, and I don't apologize if people book around that, because that's my time for me to realign myself. Generally, I won't have meetings on a late on a Friday afternoon or a Monday morning because they are my bookmark times.
This is a great takeaway for listeners, Em. So I'm really glad you shared that. Yeah. I think,
and it was shared by, when I first started at my current workplace, by my GM. He was really sort of strong about that, and it really showed his true leadership to say, like, I'm backing that we do this, and I've sort of followed through, and I'm now doing it with my teams.
Great, love that. And I second as well about having that plan at the start of the week. But the other part of that is embracing when it doesn't go exactly to plan. Yeah. Because that's what I've learned. Again, we come back to that peace in uncertainty. And if you have a plan, I've learned, and I've actually got these two words on my fridge, And my best friend actually put a bracelet together for me with these two words, grace and embrace. So give
Yes.
yourself more grace in situations and embrace what happens instead of resisting it and getting upset and mad at yourself because something hasn't worked out to plan. Just breathe and accept it because it's probably not going that direction for a reason. And
Yeah.
sometimes our plans get interrupted for our own benefit. We just don't know what that benefit is, and we don't need to know sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the quotes I sort of stick with is a few years back, my parents were traveling through the Bahamas in South America, and they're retirees, so they've got this great lifestyle where they can just up and go. Very utopia right now. We'll get there one day. But I was talking to my mum, and it was crazy times for both of us in terms of even just literal time. I think it was like late at night for her and an earlier morning call for me. And she said, Emma, I read this fridge magnet. They were in some sort of touristy shop. And she said, they all say it here. And she said, they say there are no problems, only solutions waiting to be found. And I sort of needed that day because it was a little while back and I was going through a major program of work, and I just needed to hear that there was something else. It wasn't a problem. It was just we haven't found the solution yet. And ever since that, I keep saying that sometimes when I'm sort of in the depths of it, that this is not a problem. We just haven't found the right solution yet.
Yeah, good on you, mama.
I know. See, mums are the best. They are always right. Yeah.
Good on you, mama. No, it's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true. And I challenge people today, if you're listening, if you're meeting with a colleague, a friend, or anybody today, even your partner, and you're having lunch, I challenge you to go to that lunch and not complain about anything and
Yeah.
talk about what's been great that morning because it's that shift. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised like how many people catch up and talk about all the hardships. And then that drains you. Like that sends all of it through your body. And then you go back and you're like, why am I so drained? Because if you went and met that person and talked about all the good things, you'd come back hyped for the second part of your
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, I've got a really great, we call it the breakfast club at work. I've got a great bunch of colleagues, mainly all females. We just sit because we're all in early. We do a daily debrief. We sort of let out all that. We boost each other up, and then we are so good for the day. And I also don't, both personally and professionally, I don't try and surround myself with negative people. I just don't tolerate it. I don't think I need that in my life. And I do really question people who have only got a negative connotation to their speech.
Yeah. I I totally respect that and I'm compassionate to it when people are in that headspace because sometimes you're so clouded you can't come out, which is probably why I do what I do now. Because once upon a time I was that negative person that
Yeah.
people were around. I gossiped in a corner. I complained on my lunch breaks to my colleagues, which is why I'm challenging you today, listeners, to switch it up. But I
Yeah.
was that. I gossiped. I blamed. I did all of those things. Like I can hold my hands up. And I was very negative because I was so hard on myself. And when you're hard on yourself and you're not kind to you, you put that out to others as well. You just
Yeah.
so that's why self-care and looking after you helps you create an energy around you that then uplifts others as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think we're all human. I mean, we all have a bit of a gossip sometimes. We all have a vent. I mean, that's just human nature. But I think surrounding yourself with the people who can then push you out of it and say, well, why are you feeling like that? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And give those questions where you start making them think about what changes do you need to make to get yourself out of this rut? Or are we going to be talking about this again?
That's key. That's the
Yeah,
key. Because you can have a healthy vent and a healthy gossip, and then it's about the people you're around who help you change that around and give you a perspective of
yeah,
maybe that person you were speaking to felt this way. Oh, I never looked at it that way. That's a healthy vent, and that's a healthy gossip, if we want to call it gossip.
yeah,
Because we're just letting it out. It's the difference between having people around you who enable you to sit in it and dwell in it and eat yourself up and be mean to people. And there's, the healthy gossip and vent where someone is helping you understand the other
yeah,
person's perspective.
yeah. And I think we need that both upstream and downstream. Like I've got a really great relationship with my now people leader. I can download on him things that I'm not feeling great about. And he's like, yep. And he does the same thing. And I notice he's really great at like, okay, let's think about it this way or let's put this back into perspective. And sometimes you just need that quick debrief to go, yeah, leave that. I'm okay.
And it's those conversations that are so important. Instead
Yeah.
of it feeling, I was chatting to someone in an executive role recently, and they were saying that they were feeling micromanaged. They were like, I just feel like I'm micromanaged. But rather than sit for weeks with this, she went and sat with her manager and just said, I feel like something has shifted and you're micromanaging me. There's a gap here. What's needed? What am I
Mm,
doing? Let's talk it through. The best conversation she ever had, because
yeah.
they just walked it out. And because there was assumptions, they're communicating wrong and the energy is just completely off. And then it makes you more nervous in what you're doing. Because when someone's micromanaging you, you get more nervous and you actually make more mistakes, right? They talked it out and they were so much lighter and freer because the assumptions were removed. The
Mm.
facts and the logic came in. And I think that's great reflection and bravery to just approach. But sometimes we don't know how to do that, which is why I do coaching to help us remove those limiting beliefs and remove the things that hold us back from having those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen a huge shift in like even just management and how that has run over the last 25 years. When I started out in my career, fresh out of uni, had no idea. I was still, we were all in the power suit age. I think we all were probably even carrying some sort of briefcase or form to carry your paperwork into an office. And leadership was very structured and almost regimented. And then as we go sort of the maturity and evolution of IT and then management and just breaking molds, find now that leaders are so much more fluid, they're more open, and we're showing we're also human. And so we also have things happening in our personal lives that we bring to work. And I mean, I'm probably very transparent at work. I'm probably more of an oversharer than most, but I wanted people to know that I'm just the same. I'll say I hold a different role. We are all one slice of a pizza and we are there as a collective. And when we step out of those doors, we are just the same. We're all humans. And so it's really important that leadership sort of resonates that, well, what can I do to support you? Not even just both professionally, but also you can see something on a personal scale. How can we do this? We know we spend so much time with those people at work, day in, day out. We should know everything to help them out as well. I really think we need to start blurring that line more. And also, like, I like to call it like professional trust. They need to know that I've got their back. There's a psychologically safe space here that you can bring your true, genuine self to work. And if you're having a shitty day, that's okay. Let's just work it through to see how we can keep it rolling.
What a wonderful energy, Geez.
I hope they feel that. So honestly, that's the biggest part of my day, and that would probably be the most devastating to me if my teams didn't feel that. I mean, the work will come, but if they're not feeling that, then the work's not going to be of quality, is it?
Love that. And on that note, it prompted there when you just talked about back in the day in the briefcase and the suits. The other thing, because I see this come up a lot in my sessions, is to be mindful of is, and I did it myself as well when I was in the corporate world, is it becoming your identity,
Mm,
your role and your job and organization becoming your identity, because then you're constantly looking out for external validation from
yeah,
something that might not be the right environment or systems in place or people around you to provide that. You have to get to a place where you can validate yourself, know your own worth and value to make a really good decision on, is this place right for me? Because we tend then, if our identity is our role in our organization, we tend to then look at the big picture and the world like that. And we go, every organization's like this, and we're doing,
yeah,
and not every organization has this. Not every organization has bad systems. Parts of organizations have, but not the whole organization. So we got to be careful not to paint things with all the same brushes because you're experiencing it in one place, and careful
yeah,
not to put your whole identity into corporate world. There's so much more. Who am I outside of corporate world? And don't be afraid to tap back into that, to that inner voice telling you
yeah,
something else here in me than this. And another thing is when we're older and in the professional world, we convince ourselves somehow that professionalism equals being serious, and
yeah,
that playfulness and fun is for when we're in our childhood, when actually neuroscience tells us the opposite, that it's human connection, it's like you mentioned, psychological safety, it's fun that makes you feel like your brain is just able to operate better, and then you're able to make better decisions and strategic thinking, and innovation comes flying out of you. And that's the spaces that we need to create, and that
Yeah.
especially in this age of AI as well. What's your thoughts, Em?
Look, I mean, absolutely. I know a lot of people, especially now the topic of AI comes up, and it comes up, multiple times a day, and people are dropping the tools they're using or how they've done this in AI and whatnot. And I know there's a little bit of hesitation or maybe a scare factor about what does AI actually mean. And I'm also more entertained when I'm sitting on the train going back home and I'm hearing chatter on the train about AI is going to take my job. I'm looking at it as a facilitating tool rather than a replacement. If we could AI everything, could someone please come and AI my house so I don't have to clean and cook anymore? These are the sort of things we would be aiming for. Is about simulating performance and bringing that to life. And I really want people to embrace that mindset rather than it's going to replace me. Because if, you're not replaceable, your skills may be, but you can always upskill as well. And I think people need to take a different mindset to that. How does AI complement what I'm doing right now? So, for example, if I look at my own role, I use AI to help me with presentations and stats and data and whatnot. And so I'm not great with all that stuff. If I can just plug that into an AI tool and within a couple of minutes it's given to me, then I can be more strategic in my thinking because I've already got the raw data that I need. And it's giving me that, it's facilitating a tool that I can then use to up my performance. I also see that the more that I can tap into things where it lessens my workload on this side, I can actually then heighten something else, whether that be, be a better people leader or be more engaged and involved with things that my teams are doing. I think that's really important. Have a better strategic mindset. So when people talk to me about what does the future look like, I can sort of give you a rounded answer to what I think it looks like because I've had that time to think about it. So I want people not to be worried or scared about it. I want them to actually embrace it and say, this is something that's going to really better what I'm doing. And what I'm going to do as a response is up my skills as well.
Excellently put. And yeah, I agree. It's going to go two ways. When people have done
Mm,
self work on themselves and their mindsets, it's easier for those people to be like, I embrace this, it's great. But for those who haven't worked on themselves for a long time and they're in that autopilot and the chaos, it brings about uncertainty. And then what uncertainty brings about your ego and walking on eggshells and protecting your status. And then you start blaming people and you start getting all defensive and triggered and all of that. And that's the people you got to watch for and say, don't have a go at them. Don't tell them how to do things, but go, okay, what do we need to do here to help with the mindset shift?
yeah,
And not a 1 day thing where you go, okay, let's just throw a 1 day thing and a
yeah.
good one where all of you have individual brains, but we're still going to throw this 1 day thing at you and it's all going to miraculously go into your brains that work all differently.
And I think what it's really leaning into and what it really calls out for, which overall we don't do good in IT as an industry. I'm not sure about other spaces, but we don't lend into change management very well. And I've worked at a number of different companies over the last 25 years. I've never really seen it done good. And I think now with the evolution of AI, it's no different to probably showing my age now. Like, when we're going through Y2K or we went through cloud, and now we're going through AI. It's IT evolving itself, and the change of how that looks is never fully managed great. But it is us then to sort of step in and feel what others are feeling around us. I mean, we're all feeling it. How do we actually communicate this? How do we sell the story? We need leaders, and team members alike to be really transparent and visible about how this is actually making them feel as a person. What are they scared about? Are they worried about job security? We all are. Are we worried about how that will affect our life? Like I said, if I could get an AI tool to my house, then let's go for it. Like where do we start signing up and saying, this is the future. We already know it's not even coming. It's here. It's here and now. The flavor of the week is always changing what AI tool. Last week was Copilot. This week it's Claude. What's going to be next week? And we just want to say, look, we're on the wave. We want to be transparent about how we're feeling about it. Let's work towards that. And I think the best way is then to start thinking about it from a goal mindset. What does, say, Emma look like in a year's time if I don't embrace this evolution? Where am I staying? But if I have a real positive and goal mindset, I'd be like, okay, well, I can be more strategic. I can probably step into a little bit of a different role. I could ask my people leader, how can I be challenged differently with the use of this tool and start thinking about myself evolving.
Great way of looking at it. And I think
Yeah.
as leaders too, regardless of our gender or identity, look down the line of your team. And we're all guilty of this as leaders. You look down the line of your team and you're like, oh, too shy and introverted, oh, too difficult, oh, too negative. But okay, start to look down the line of your team, like they're embracing it. Well, they've got a good mindset with it. Okay, they're struggling a bit. Let me chat with them and see what's showing up for them. Don't shy away from them just because it makes your leadership life easier to just go, I'll let them just drown. Because we're all guilty of it, because we're all dealing with our own stuff and personal struggles. So sometimes you just walk in and you see the struggle of others and you go, I can't be dealing with it. But really, it will make your life as a leader easier if you just sit and say, what's showing up for you? Find out individually. And it could be one simple thing, one simple shift they need. That's it. And then as a leader, you can feel great because now they're showing up and collaborating with the team a lot better, right?
Yeah.
So you're actually making your life easier too.
Yeah. And it's giving them space. So I think give them space to acknowledge and absorb it. So, for example, my teams today, we do a department-wide Pioneer Day. So they're on a learning day. You can learn whatever you like, obviously work-centric, but bring that to life. Have the full day to do that. And I'm highly encouraging of it. And we do this regularly. So this is something we're doing every month to make sure our teams have the space to, for example, I am learning AI. This was my thing today. I keep learning about different tools and I'm like, oh, is that one a little bit easier for me to do? Is this one? Because again, it's new to me. I haven't been born into this space where I just know it. I'm on the same journey. Having that space to learn and to be encouraged to do it, I think it's really important too.
And your team will respect that transparency and that you're not all ego and going, oh, I can't let them know I don't know, right? Which is what we tend to do sometimes. And it's fantastic because the more you're transparent and cool about it, then it gives them the sense that I can just go and learn this. There's no ego around it. It's safe and it's respectful, and we're all on the same journey. And let's do this together and then swap notes.
And it's almost like show and tell. Like I go in plenty of times to meetings and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had these slides and I'm really proud of it because it means I've sort of worked out how I wanted the AI algorithm to spit them out for me and then I've plugged and played. And so it's a bit of my show and tell as well. And I'm really quite honest about it, whether they want to hear it or not. They're hearing it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's music to my ears. So listen, your career spans consulting, utilities, retail banking, and now Sportsbet. How did those varied experiences shape your leadership style?
Yeah. So, like I touched on a little bit earlier, when I started, about 25 years ago, I went straight from uni into a consulting business that was fundamentally all about energy and utilities. And so it was very dry. It was very male orientated. I was I admit it, I was probably very much a workaholic, just trying to prove that, at that point, being a female in IT was very rare. And so I was trying to do that proving myself stage. I really looked at leadership. I didn't even have any female leaders to even look up to. So all my leaderships and the styles I was sort of trying to mimic were that of, very strong, really great male leaders, but they have a very different directive to the leader I wanted to be at. So very early in the piece, and I was probably going to be a little bit weirded out by this now that I hear myself sort of think about it. I kept a notebook about every leader I had. I could have took notes about their leadership styles, about things that I really liked about them, things that I didn't feel comfortable or whatnot as a person reporting into them. And I did that for many, many years. And I did fall into, probably about 15 years ago, I started having my first female leaders. And again, I was writing notes about their style of leadership and whatnot, and sort of comparing to my first, half of my career. And so I kept taking notes about things that I wanted to do when I, was really stepping in. And about that time, about 15 years ago, was when I had my first team, and I was really conscious about rereading about what made me feel good when I was, had people who I was reporting. And now I'm having the same thing where people were reporting to me. I wanted to start reflecting about what those lessons were. I think I moved house about 3 years ago and I found that notebook, and it was such a dear diary moment where I was like, oh, I am starting to be the person I want to be. And it was really lovely to sort of say I was true to myself and to the leadership style that I wanted to resonate with other people, that I could now say I'm proudly stepping out of my notebook and into the real person.
That's a wonderful piece of knowledge to pass on about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that to look back on and reflect on?
Yeah, and I don't even know why I started, whether it was a young 20-year-old Emma or whatever is very different to the person I am today. Um, but it did help me form about the person I wanted to be as a leader. And especially I sort of resonate a lot into like the servant leadership, where I want to say to my teams, and I say it quite often, what can I do to help you? Where do you need me to step in? Who can use me as an escalation point? Use me as your voice to push things forward. And I want them to have that comfort and confidence. And I noticed that very early on the piece. Like, I had one of my first leaders when I first started working was a man called Andrew, and he was an amazing IT director, and he had this really warmth to him, but a strong, firm warmth. And I thought that was my first foray into what IT leadership looked like. He was hard in other things, but strong in others. And I was like, that was a really good basing. And then, you have various levels of leadership, and we're not going to lie. But I knew then that you needed to be strong and firm in your direction and back yourself, but also have that warmth, which really helps people to link to you.
Yeah. I kind of welcome the fact that I had bad leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think it helped me realize like who I want to be as a person and what's
Yeah.
my values. Because there was one leader in particular in my career who went against the mold, and he was shunned out of a company because of it, because they just didn't want to follow what was I thought was unethical. They followed a different way, and it was about your growth and that it takes time, and giving you the space that it takes time, and it's okay that it takes time, and you can make a few mistakes, and while you're doing that, we'll carry the load, because then when everything's dipping down for us in our moment, you will be carrying that load, so it all
Yeah.
ebbs and flows. That was the most spectacular leadership style I ever saw. And it was true, and it did work. And when my time came and everybody else was dipping, I lifted and carried the team. And it was just so wonderful how they were able to foresee that and
Yeah.
believe in you before you believed in yourself, and could see without having a crystal ball what was coming, and back yourself. And I believe in you. And then it gave me the belief in myself, even though there was all these other people coming in on top of them and trying to get them out of the business, they still showed up like that, and it stayed in my brain. And he was one of my favorite leaders.
Yeah, yeah, and isn't that right? Like it's almost an implant, and it sort of keeps going back to that. Like, how did that make me feel? And you have leaders who trust you, and they empower you, and they drive you forward, and they've got your back. You actually can physically feel that. Then you are naturally better. Not even just a leader, you're a better team player. You're in 110%. And I find now, especially the workplace I'm at, the leaders that I'm working with, I feel very supportive. I feel very, very encouraged. From the CTO, downwards, it's just really like fluid. They're thankful for the work, but they're also pushing you in a great space, and it's super encouraging. And when you have that, and that feeling of got your back, it sings volumes.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. So we've touched a lot on energy and all these particular points. But what I want to ask you is, what's one non-negotiable that protects your energy today?
One non-negotiable for me is like I'm a naturally curious person, and so I want to feel that hunger of needing to know knowledge and to expand myself constantly. It's something that keeps me going. If I ever found I was treading water, that would be game over for me, and I would have lost my spark. But I need that every day. And so the particular industry I'm in right now, the role I'm in, I am constantly being challenged and staying curious and learning and so on and so forth. And it just fires, puts a fire in my belly all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate, like who are listening as well.
And I sort of seek out like-minded people. People magnetize to people that they are laterally aligned to. I subscribe to the sort of saying, if you want something done, you give it to a busy person. And I'm happy to be that busy person, because I am naturally high-powered. I can get things done. I thrive on it. And I love a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I love it. And you touched there on, for you, being curious and all that, it keeps you going. For women navigating long careers in tech, then how do you recommend for them to stay curious and relevant and energized?
Yeah, I think really tap into like a genre of IT that you have got a spark for. So whilst I've never worked as a software engineer or in the traditional raw side of IT, I've always come through in the business IT sense. And I know I'm really good at that. I love to analyze. I love to pick things apart. I was a trained BA many, many years ago, and that's how I found my feet through IT. I think find that spark, but also find to not be scared of a tangent or a diversion. Like I never thought I'd be like working in a wagering company. It had never sort of sparked my interest. But then when I fell into it, I hand on heart would say it's probably been the best job I've ever had in the last 25 years. The amount of like challenges and the industries, interesting and, there's lots of rules and risk and regulation, but we do it so well. We are taking it so seriously as a business that it's just opens up whole different avenues for me. It's something that people probably wouldn't recognize or see through me is that I also have suffered and I do suffer still from imposter syndrome in that, when are they going to realize that, am I meant to be in this space? Am I meant to be in this role? But then the other side of me goes, but you've earned this, I've done, an amazing amount of work in my career to shape myself both personally and professionally. I always upskill and do extra courses. I do all this sort of stuff, and I'm naturally a curious person. So I got to keep telling that other voice in my head that you're not the imposter. You're the individual who should be here.
Yes. And I like that you said that find your spark and what lights you up. You don't have to do everything. Because I remember people telling me what to do with my business and how to get it out there and everything, but it wasn't singing and aligning with my heart at all.
Yeah.
That's not relevant to what I'm seeing every day. That's not relevant to who I'm talking to every day. I'm just going to talk from my heart and I'm just going to talk from what's relevant in my mind and what I feel relates because I'm talking to these people who it relates to every day. And I think when I did that, it lit me up inside. Whereas when I was doing what other people were telling me to do, I was dead inside and forcing it. And I felt a resistance.
Yeah.
And when you feel that resistance, it means it's not right for you.
Yeah, and I think in especially like an industry in IT, yes, it's a tech space, but it's actually very creative. And we are working with like real life problems. You get to explore that and throw out really different ideas. And yes, the solution is tech based, but there is a lot of creativity around that as well. And let that beast out. Have those discussions, have those workshops, show that creativity that you can have amongst it. And yeah, really good things happen. And especially if you're being encouraged to do so.
I agree with you, Em, because when I was in the tech recruitment world, and there was times when I found myself in this transactional environment in the phone. What's your rate? When are you available? Like this kind of vibe. And it just wasn't me. I was curious like you. I had this 500 acronym of tech opened up, learning them every day. Every person I spoke to, I was curious about what they did, why they did it. Can that role transition into something else? Can those skills be transferable? That's how my mind worked. And that's how I ended up loving my role. And and I cared about the people and their careers. And if their careers are in my hands, how am I showing up just asking these robot questions? It doesn't
Yeah.
work. And that's how I differentiated myself. Was I liked for it? No. But that's why I
Yeah.
do what I do now because I'm a bit of a disruptor, always have been. And I challenge the status quo and on we go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not shy to voice my opinion or sort of where I'm thinking, and if that's not a popular vibe, I'm actually got to the point of maturity where I'm okay with that. Like I don't need everyone to like me, but I do want everyone to know that I've got an opinion as well. And I think that's the super thing, and especially when you get into like leadership roles, you are now on different tables. Your opinion is that you've earned your spot on that table. Give it, and it's okay if people don't agree or that you don't have to agree with theirs. So yeah, there's no rule book to how this works.
Great advice. That's so true. And what's the point in making it there and getting there if you're just going to sit silent?
Yeah.
Get that voice out there. And if
Yeah.
people don't like you, they don't like you. If they like you, they like you. Great. Happy days. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not here to band up an army. We are here to work collaboratively and in the same sort of a vibe and to the same goal. We're not here to sort of bank up against me versus you or anything. And I don't love that feeling. And I always step out of that. Yeah, it's not for me.
Okay, tell me then, what's been the most surprising upside of your leadership career then?
Um, I I actually love to see other people upskill and see themselves go up and out of it. So that's probably been the most warming thing for me. And especially when I've seen more junior members come through the ranks and they're really hungry for different challenges. That's probably been the best thing for me, is not my own, so I suppose climb to this sort of layer. I think it's more watching the others around me have that sort of similar success. And that's really warming of my heart.
This is awesome. I really feel such an awesome energy from you, Emma. Like when you're talking, the passion you have for your team, being a leader, what it's taught you, what you now want to get out into the world. Because I know you're an advocate for women in tech and you're a great mentor for women as well, which I love, as you know.
Yeah.
And I love this world. And the more of us talking about how great it is, how much we can influence, the more of us that are going to come into it and thrive and love it as well, right?
Yeah, and that's what we need. We just need people to just take that step and that leap of faith to say, like, you're going to get through it. Like, some days are going to be crappy. We're all going through our own learning periods. Like I said earlier, there's no manual to this. Every day we're flipping a new page and trying it out ourselves. But you've got to take that leap of faith and know you've got this.
You heard it here, listeners. You heard it here from Emma. So she's got you set up now with some actions, and we've got some challenges set for you. So I hope you go off and put them into practice today. Thank you so much, Emma, for being on with me today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, all your advice and insights and your journey in leadership. I'm sure our listeners can take some insights and implement it and execute it into their own lives.
I actually love these sort of conversations, Shad. So any opportunity, let's do it.
Yeah, you heard she wants more conversations, everyone. So you might want to reach out, hit her up.
But in all seriousness, I'm always open. I'm very encouraging, and especially like you said, women tech and that sort of space it's been a groundbreaker for me. Like, I knew I didn't have that support when I started off 5 years ago. And when I did my uni degree, I was only one of, I think, 4 females in a class of, like, say, 45, 50 males. And so, I knew the challenges of what that would look like. I knew I didn't have that support coming through the ranks. And could I be that, that light or that guide for someone else? And I'm more than willing to do that. I think it's really important that we have that connection.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Thanks so much, Emma, for being on, like I said.
No problems.
And for you listening, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any of these awesome conversations to help you on your own journey, or if you're thinking about it as your next step, this is where you can come and listen to some conversations on how that can be possible, because anything is possible. So until then, keep challenging the status quo and be the change you want to see. See you next time.
Bye.